So basically, I just wanted to talk about sort of your work with Mr. Lee in general, and then specifically with this film and sort of how that came together. You've been working with him since 1979?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scary.
So it's been a long time, and you've done so many different things with him. So if maybe you just want to talk about how you met and how sort of you first started working together and how that's evolved over the past.
Yeah, well, we met around 1979 when he was going to be doing a theatre project that in the end didn't come to fruition, but that was when we met, and we started working together on that, but it was abortive, so that was that. But we'd met, and it was kind of really changed things for me, because I was, I was in my early 20s, and I kind of didn't know what I was doing. I was without direction, I had a nice career. I did all sorts of stuff, but I didn't really think about what kind of actress I wanted to be, and I certainly never played anybody that wasn't me. I had no notion of playing people that were not like me at all. So I met him, and it kind of all changed, and we clicked, and I just really got how he worked, and it was all great. Then we went on to make a radio play together that was fantastic. It was like making a film, but with only sound, no cameras. And that play got banned by the BBC because it was about a girl losing her virginity, and they thought it was too explicit. So the third time I worked with him, he said, right, I think you better come and work with me again, because, I've worked with you twice, but none of it's been seen. And so we made a film for the BBC called Grown Ups, and that was the first time I worked with him. And yeah, we've made lots since then, but that was my only television film I made. Everything since then's been cinema films. And the process, the way we work hasn't really changed. The only thing that's changed is the amount of time he has. I mean, certainly when we made Grown Ups, we probably only had 6-7 weeks before the cameras came. Whereas now, we have 18 weeks and then maybe 10-11 weeks shooting.
So you had to sort of witness the evolution of what his success or whatever brought to the projects, like slowly over time. So it's
no, I have. I mean, although sometimes there's been quite big gaps when I've not worked with him. I mean, I think it feels like I've been working with him every minute of my life, but I haven't, because I mean, prior to this, I did, like Jim Broadbent, I did a cameo in Vera Drake. Then before that was All or Nothing, which was 2001. So it's kind of like nearly 10 years ago. So there are big gaps, and but it's just that we both go back a long way. So it's been an extraordinary canon of work with him, because he never gets you to play the same character twice, and that's my buzz. That's what I love, and I feed that into all my work. That's what I like to do. I don't get a kick out of just playing myself all the time. So, I mean, he's afforded me that enormous luxury.
And specifically with Mary, who came up with that? I mean, how did he approach you with the idea of this film, or the idea that this film was going to happen?
All he does is, I mean, I don't know how much you know about the way he works, but
I do.
He doesn't come and say, look, I'm going to make this film and it's going to be this great character called Mary who's a lonely alcoholic. He just comes and says, do you want to be in the film? Now, he has ideas and notions and themes that he might want to deal with, but he doesn't share any of that with the actors. And what we do with him, the first task is that he'll work individually with every actor for a long time, months we're talking about, creating the character. And creating the character from scratch, from birth, how they had their life, filling it all in, who their parents were, where they went to school, where they lived, what their influences were, all of that stuff. Very thorough, very full character. And of course that takes some time. The older your characters are, by the time you reach my age, it's quite a lot of years to fill in. So really, he just comes and says, do you want to be in the film? And sometimes he'll say, do you want to come and be in my film? You'll only be on it for a month or two, so you kind of know you're going to be perhaps a more minor character. Sometimes he says, come and be in my film, and you're going to be in it I'm going to need you from beginning to end, and then you kind of know that you're going to have a big involvement in it.
And your answer's always yes.
Yeah, it always has been yes, and I can't see me ever saying no, because the work is so fulfilling.
Oh, I can only.
I mean, it's so collaborative, and so much is asked of you as an actor. Very creative, and you have to come up with a lot of stuff, and it's not just like reading a script, or how am I going to play that, or I'll go in and do it, learn the lines. It's your input is crucial. You can't make the films without your input.
And where did the input on the other side? I mean, where did Mary start from? Like, where was that?
Well, all sorts of places. I mean, it is a bit elusive, the process, and I think it should stay that way because it's quite hard to explain it fully. We'd need a whole week, really. But yeah, I mean, you draw bits from people, you draw from the world around you, you draw from your experiences of life, and not your personal experiences of life, but you draw from what you've witnessed in your life and all that stuff. It's from all over the place. You take things from all over the place, and it's not something you're just trying to do in a day. You're not saying, right, well, we'll make her this, and this. Okay, let's put that all together. It's happening very slowly. This kind of cocktail of a person is being born over a very extended a period of time. So it all merges together quite slowly, and it's quite delicate, and yeah.
And I mean, to have this character in your life for, I assume, quite a long period of time. Like, how long is sort of from when?
Well, 18 weeks creating characters, rehearsing, improvising, all of that. And then 10, 12 weeks shooting, yeah.
And, I mean, to have a character, I mean, she's obviously really likable and lovely.
Yeah.
But, I mean, she's not the easiest person to be, I'm sure. So was that,
no.
Or was it easy, was that?
I kind of don't have a problem with that. It's sort of the territory of the job, really. The job description is acting, which for me means being somebody else. And so it's kind of what you have to do. I mean, of course, some scenes are demanding, when there's a lot of emotion flying around, or you're doing drunk acting, and it's demanding, but it's not out of the ordinary because that is part of the job description.
Yeah, I mean,
but I'm not the kind of actress who takes stuff home. I finish and that's it, and I go home and I forget it.
Good. And
I can cut off very easily. I don't carry stuff around with me. Yeah, so I've never had a problem in that way.
And my next question was actually how you play drunk so well, because you play drunk very well, and you must have had to play drunk for a good portion of shooting. I mean,
yeah, no, I had to do drunk quite a lot. Yeah, and I'd never played drunk before, and I thought, right, God, yeah, so I'm gonna have to play drunk, right? So I mean, we didn't really ever have a conversation about how are you going to play drunk, because you kind of just are playing Mary, and it kind of happens quite organically, really. But I did find it easier as a discipline, and it's an odd one for me because I can do big emotional scenes, stop, have a cup of tea, talk to somebody, go back and do them again, and I can get in and out of it. And that is also part of the discipline by the time you've got to that stage of going in and out of character. You become quite adept at it, and it's not a problem. But I found with the drunk that if I kind of paused during the scene and went off and talked to people or had a cup of tea, it kind of took me out of it, and I found it quite hard to then get back into it again. So I sort of made a decision that when we were shooting that stuff, I'd kind of keep it on a low level, keep it on the go whilst they were relighting to do a reverse shot or something. Just kind of go in a room and keep by myself and keep that kind of numbness, that kind of half state on the go.
It must be hard to not be over the top about it, because
yeah, you don't want to do comedy drunk acting. That would be terrible.
And to maintain the same level of drunk acting as to not or when you're drunker or
yeah, well, she does kind of get, yeah, it kind of progresses, that scene, doesn't it? It goes from the living room to the stairs, the living room, and then later in the living room, and then on the stairs when she's really drunk. So there's a slight progression because there's probably a few glasses of wine between each of those sections.